I grew up in Karnataka, in Belagavi. It was life-changing moment for me to come to America. Now, as a United States Congressman, I sit on the Homeland Security Committee. And India is marching towards being an economic superpower. India needs to be United States' strongest ally.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting the US later this month to talk about the visit in the larger context of Indo-US ties. We are joined in today by Indian-American Congressman Shri Thanedar. Mr. Thanedar was born in Belgaum in Karnataka and is an engineer by profession, by training. He's been an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and now he's a full-time politician. Thank you for speaking to Deccan Herald, Mr. Thanedar.
Sumit, thank you.
If you can tell us, something about your early life back in India, your memories back home, and your journey from Belgaum to Michigan.
Well, I'm a Maharashtrian, but my family lived and I grew up in Karnataka, in Belagavi. I was born there in Belagavi, lived 18 years of my life, went to high school and college, got a bachelor's degree in chemistry in Belgaum at the GSS College. And, growing up in Karnataka, my father lost his job, 6 sisters, a brother. So the family fell into financial hardship. And being the elder son, as Indian culture is, I took the responsibility of taking care of the family. And later on, I went to Mumbai, got a master's in chemistry, worked at Baba Atomic Research Center. When I was working in Baba Atomic Research Center, I asked my supervisor if he will allow me to study master's degree in chemistry while I'm still working at my job. And unfortunately, my supervisor then will not allow me to do that. And despite his refusal to allow me to do that, I went ahead and took admission in at Kalina University of Bombay for my master's. And I passed my master's in first class. I did very well. At the same time, I would work in shifts and work at BARC as a health physicist. And when I got my master's and when I went to my supervisor asking for a promotion, he denied me a promotion, saying my master's was not authorized by him. And so knowing that I don't have a future in that organization, I decided to start applying for PhD program in the United States. And when I was 24 years old, I got admission into the United States for a PhD program. By then, I had heard about the United States and a land of opportunity, a country that has personal freedom, and it attracted me. And so I got an admission for a PhD program. So now all I have to do is go to the American embassy, get a student visa so I can go to America. The lady across, a white American lady, her name was Virginia, and she was asking me questions. Yeah, I remember her name. 44 years ago. And she kept asking me questions and I answered them as best as I could. And then after the interview was over, she said, "I'm sorry, but I can't give you a visa." And as I saw that, all my dreams came crashing down because it was life-changing moment for me to come to America and study. And thereafter now, I had an opportunity to keep reapplying for visa. All I had to do is give them more documents. So I kept giving them more documents. For the 4th time, I submitted an application for a visa. And this time, feeling very, very confident that an American professor has approved, has written a letter. So that would convince Miss Virginia. So at 4 o'clock, I went that day with a lot of anticipation. And unfortunately, I saw the stack of papers being given back to me with her signature, visa rejected. And I was heartbroken. I was, and a few more weeks went by, and then finally I had nothing additional to give it to her. But I took the same stack of papers and went in the window in the morning and submitted the same papers that she had rejected the fourth time. They said, come back at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. So I come back at 4 o'clock and they said at the window, can I have your passport? And I said, why do you need my passport? And they said, we can't give you a visa if you don't give us a passport. And I said, what, Miss Virginia, change your mind? And they said, no, Miss Virginia has gone to America for vacation. And her assistant, Mr. Johnson, looked at your papers and he thought they were perfect. And I get my visa and I come to America early 1979 and pursue my PhD.
And then now you're in, Michigan, and then representing people there, Indian American community. That's a very, very powerful story, Mr. Thanedar, for a lot of people.
It is. And look at the irony here. Now, as a United States congressman, I sit on the Homeland Security Committee, and I'm a ranking member of Transportation and Maritime Security. So part of I'm overseeing in my committee the protecting the United States borders. I'm dealing with issues of migration, people coming into the United States. So a person who had so much difficulty coming into the United States, now I am involved and in charge or looking after America's borders. And I find that very fascinating, especially. And it also, in a way, shows the greatness of America, that how America respects its immigrants, how this is a nation of immigrants, and how the immigrants and America have mutually benefited through this remarkable relationship of a nation that is a nation of immigrants.
Yes. Coming back to the issue of immigration, as you mentioned, there have been, many Indian Americans who've been waiting in the queue for many years now. So you think that America needs a holistic immigration reforms to take care or tackle these issues?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Since the mid-90s, there has not been a meaningful immigration bills in the Congress. Whether you're talking about the migrants that are largely coming from the southern border into the United States, the asylum seekers, the DACA, the dreamers, or the legal immigration of skilled workers, students, the H-1 visa holders, the green card holders. The system is very broken. The country quota. Some countries have each country has its own quota. And countries like India and China have long lines to get clearing of the green card. And what happens there is that sometimes the wait is very long, 10, 12 years long.
Mr. Modi would be here later this month. So what are the areas of cooperation that India and the US need to work on, you think, to strengthen their ties?
Well, a number of areas, the space technology, defense technology, workforce development, say, for example, clean energy. There is education. There's a lot of things collaboratively we could do in education. as you know, these are two of the world's strongest and largest democracies. And it is vitally important, as a United States congressperson, I feel it's vitally important that the two countries have strong ties. You know, I look at India and United States relationship, and I have been observing these India and US relationship back in the days when, uh, you know, Indira Gandhi was prime minister. Back in the days when India talked a lot about non-alignment. Back in the days where India tried to balance its relationship with the Soviet Union at one hand and United States at the other hand, these two being two superpowers. Fast forward now 20, 30, 40 years. And, we've seen what Russia has done. Russia has been an aggressor. Putin has been a ruthless dictator. He has, encroached on a sovereign country like Ukraine. I think they're no longer a superpower. The only superpower left in the world is the United States of America. So globally, things have changed dramatically over the years. And yet, I feel that India hasn't recognized that. And while India and the United States have good relationships, we don't have as strong a relationship as I would like to see. These relationships, I think India and the United States uh, need to be strongest allies. India needs to be United States' strongest ally. It is important for the people of the two nations to have this strong relationship because there is so much in common. The workforce, the technology, the democracy that each country practices. There is so much in common for us not to be to have a trusted relationship, to have a strong relationship between the two countries.
Recently, Congress Party leader Rahul Gandhi was in the US. He traveled across the states and he had many interactions. And he raised certain issues about India's current status of democracy and also his own vision of what the Indian democracy should be. So, what are your views on his thoughts?
No country is perfect. No democracy is perfect. And we can always improve. We can always do better serving the people. We can always do better creating opportunities for the people at the bottom of the economic ladder. But there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that Indian democracy is strong. There is no doubt in my mind that India has advanced in many fronts. India has a large population of young people. Yeah. Young people is India's asset. Then India is marching towards being an economic superpower. As a United States congressperson, I trust in the people of India. And I trust in the democratic process, and I trust, and it is the duty of the United States to work with a leader that is being elected by the Indian people. So, as far as the United States is concerned, we will always work with the leader that the people of India have chosen to lead, and that's who we will work with, and we'll work with without any kind of interference. India's internal affairs are its own internal affairs, and I feel that India is quite capable of dealing with that.
In this context, I would also like to bring in the China factor, and for India, it is very important, obviously for the US also. So, how do you see this playing out in the context of India-US relations, and and the way the Quad is evolving over the last 3 to 4 years?
Well, again, that is another reason why these two nations, India and United States, need to have a strong relationship because of a peace in the Indo-Pacific region. China has been an aggressor, and India has experienced the aggression of China, and the United States have experienced the aggression of China. And if these two democracies can become a trusted friends and have a deep relationship, that would go a long way in arresting China's aggression. And that is certainly a major reason why these countries need to come together and develop a very, very strong bond.
You mentioned this issue about Russian aggression of Ukraine. So India's stand initially on this particular issue was something on which the State Department also had to make certain comments. They had their views on it. So you think that in retrospect, probably for the United States, India should have taken a different line, or was United States expecting a little more from India in terms of its stand on the Ukraine aggression? And has it been in a way has it led to souring of relations for an interim, you think?
Well, certainly a dictator like Putin, ruthlessly attacking a sovereign country, the loss of civilian life, the hardship that the Ukraine people have faced, that one must protest that, and one must disapprove of Putin's aggression. And yes, it is would have been much more favorable. We would have liked, the United States would have liked much more if India had, seen that aggression for what it was and what it is, and made has taken a stance against that aggression. But our relationship between India and United States goes much deeper. And we are friends, we are allies. And when we are friends and we are allies, you accept the friendship with defects, and you accept friendships, and you forgive, and you understand and the differences. And sometimes friends are going to have differences of opinions and approach, but these differences don't define our friendship. These differences don't define our relationship. Our relationship is much deeper than some disagreements we may have from time to time. And it's perfectly fine for our two countries to talk about these differences, talk about disagreements. But we got to keep an eye on the larger good, which is these two countries have so much in common, and we need to really focus on the collaboration and that we could do and continue to do, and we have been doing, that will build a strong bond between these two nations.
Thank you, Mr. Thanedar, for taking out time and speaking to Deccan Herald.
You're welcome. And if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to write to me. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.